everyone. Welcome to M&M Ministries, Making Connections, our new podcast. My name is Francisco Romero alongside Juan Alanis. Juan, how are you? First of all, starting this new venture, how are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah.
You know, podcasts are popular this nowadays, but I wanted to partner with you, and you have a lot to offer in regards to being a life coach and so on and so forth. We'll talk more about it, but it's a great time. I think you have a lot to offer. What do you think of this new venture that we're about to embark?
I think it's an opportunity for us to engage with one another, learn from one another, but then bless people out there who really don't know a lot about relationships. And I mean, just even last night at a dinner, just talking with a woman about relationships, and she goes, tell me again. And she came back and says, can you continue telling me again? And this is the woman I met for the first time.
And Juan, you tell me this about last night, but again, I met you while working with the Houston Astros. You were the chaplain for the Houston Astros in Spanish, and you were your former teacher, former basketball coach. So everything that you have taught me, that I have heard from you, I take most of it, not all of it. But it has helped me in a lot of ways. And so I think this is what's exciting, your experience in all facets of life, including as a businessman. It has a lot to do with what the topics we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they all fall under an umbrella, and I call it SRG. And we have a company, it's called SRG LLC. But those three words we're going to talk about today, we're going to explain those three words. And
well, let's get into our topic right away. Tell us about what we're going to talk about today.
Well, men for women. I grew up in an environment where it was the woman for the man. And that's what I learned, is that the woman was for me. I never learned that I am supposed to be for her, meaning I am supposed to sacrifice and suffer and serve her.
And I guess growing up, I don't know with all your experience, you've dealt with people from all walks of life, and all different races, whether it's Latino, Hispanic, white, Asian. So that's one of the things that gets me excited about talking to you, that your life experiences turn out in a way that you can talk about issues that relate to everyone, not just one group of people. Me saying that goes to the comment that I was going to make initially. We grew up as Hispanic Latinos sometimes without even thinking about it, going ahead with our lives thinking that women were some kind of an object. Am I too harsh on that? Or?
No. You're right. And it's a cultural thing. Culture means things that you practice. And so we practiced what we were watching. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how your dad was, but I know how my dad was. And I learned a lot of things just from watching him. And he was a great man. There's no demeaning of him. He worked his butt off. He did everything, except when I got married, I found out that the woman I married was not the woman from the rancho.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Now you talk about special assets. Is that what you're trying to get to? We have a partner, and I think on both sides you have to consider them special. And I don't know if we'll say special assets, but say special people or special partner. I mean,
yeah, and I mentioned a special asset, which does apply, as you say, to the husband and the wife. But special means it is not common; it is exceptional. An asset is something that has inherent value, or as they would use it in academics, they'll use the word ontological. Ontological value, meaning that in essence, you and I are worth exactly the same. Elon Musk, you and I are worth exactly the same ontologically. Economically, obviously.
That's what I was going to say.
Right?
I want one of those funky looking cars.
I don't like those cars, but the guy is a genius, but ontologically, he's not better than you. He's not better than me. We are all three assets, meaning we all have value. And it's important for people to know that people understand, because a lot of people feel devalued. You know what I'm saying? And so this is kind of what we want to open up and explain to people. You are special, and you are a special asset.
But then again, sometimes a life situation takes you where sometimes, for instance, in my case, I realized my dream of broadcasting Major League Baseball, but I had to kind of drag along the dreams of my partner, of my wife. She had to put them on hold. And I guess that's a lot of credit to her, not holding me back, for her looking for her success and her goals in life to let me live my dream out.
Right. And that happens a lot. I've seen it on both sides where men have waited. A friend of mine, as a matter of fact, is they are from Venezuela, and she became a pediatrician. They came to America. He worked his butt off. He took care of the kids while she was studying, going through the experiences that she had to go through. They even moved to Puerto Rico, and because of her. And so he was still trying to run a business from Puerto Rico here. And so, I've seen it on both sides. And that's kind of part of being in a symbiotic relationship and being in marriage, is that there's times when you will have to sacrifice. There's times when your wife will have to sacrifice, And so, but what I'm talking about is the role of the man in the home, where there are things that he has to do.
Which are?
Suffer and sacrifice for her, meaning taking her into consideration first. And the concept comes because this is what I do for a living when I sit with people, is explaining to them that they were created, and they were created for a certain role, right?
Exactly.
Nowadays we have gas powered cars, and now we have electric. And you can't mix them. You can't put gas in an electric, and you can't plug in a gas car. So they're distinct cars, right?
So how do you make that a symbiotic way of living? If the couple, one is gas and one is electric, what happens when they meet each other?
Well, and the point is that the man is created, let's just say he's created as a gas-powered vehicle. And the woman is created as an electric vehicle, because we know that there's a lot of shorts in them sometimes. And they go a little bit. And it is okay to know. We have 2 daughters. And we have 3 grandchildren. 2 of them are girls. And one of them's a little boy. And you can see the difference. They're made different. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you have to treat them different. You treat the gas car the way you treat a gas car, and you treat an electric vehicle. And people get into marriages and expect out of a woman something that she can't deliver.
You know what? When you bring this up, it takes me back to young couples. I mean, I've seen a lot of young couples who, after 34 years of marriage, they're very successful at every which way, whether it's their life, their kids, their grandkids, their business. But I guess but then when I hear their stories, it was very hard at the beginning. And so what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying don't get married or don't get together at an early age, but there's a lot of things to learn. How can we tell the youth to go about learning that you're not going to get what you expect either way? At the end of the day, or at the end of 40 years, 30 years, they realize that. But at the beginning, I think it's kind of hard.
Oh, yeah. And it is. And the reason why it's hard, and I tell people, if you know why you win twice. And if you know why you lose, you win. It is important. Like, we gave our hand in marriage from our daughters to their new husbands, right?
Exactly, huh?
I understood a long time ago that it was my responsibility as a dad, as the head of the household, as the husband, to make sure that these young ladies were going to be presented to the young men that they were going to marry, okay, in a safe and healthy manner, that they were safe and that they were healthy. And they understood that, because I asked them, do you want a man to marry you who is also safe and healthy?
Exactly.
Right? So when 2 safe and healthy people marry, they're going to have issues, reconciliation that has to happen, just because they come from different backgrounds. different homes, but they should be coming in safe and healthy.
The synergy will be there because of their base values.
Yeah. And so when you get people who are unsafe and unhealthy, and the one word that goes with both of those things is called insecurity, we have a lot of insecure people getting married. And sparks fly, man. Choques. They're constantly bucking heads, and it becomes a real issue for them. And I sit with those people, and basically is what we want to do here in this podcast is prepare people to get married.
Exactly.
Okay, with the appropriate roles. People who are married, get them on a new path, and get them to begin to live out the safety and the healthiness that marriage is supposed to be.
I mean, look, having worked in public health in the past myself, I see that as you go prevention, intervention, and then, I mean, in kind of a public health kind of way. But I guess you get everyone prepared, and there is going to be issues. What I'm taking from you, but those could be resolved a lot easier for a better life and a happier life. Because at the end of the day, everybody just wants to be happy.
Well, yeah. Well, they want to live out what the Lord says. They want to live out peace and joy in their home.
Exactly.
Right? Now, there's a video that they can go and see on Making Connections with Juan Alanis. And the first video is the one about them being an asset. Okay? The first car I bought was a Mazda RX-7. To me, it was an asset. You know what I did? I washed it twice a week. Okay? And I made sure nobody touched it. And it was always clean on the inside. It's the first car I ever had. Before that, I was on bikes, riding my bicycle everywhere. All of a sudden, I get a job at this big factory there in Modesto, California, and I'm making money. And
Let me interrupt you there. My first car was a 1977 Impala. You know what I did?
What'd you do?
I put some nice rims, a good stereo, low and slow.
Low and slow. You did the West Coast Mexican thing. Yeah, that was a thing to do, except me fui a lo grande, como dicen.
Exactly.
I didn't even buy an Impala that might have been $6,000. I bought a $20,000 car. And here I am driving around. So guess what happens?
You crash.
I go to the theater
Uh-huh.
a month after I bought it. I'm there with my best friend. And so we go in, watch the movie come out, and guess what somebody had done?
Scratched it.
They had keyed it from the beginning to the end of the car. They keyed it. And I started crying. I go, oh my gosh, I had a special paint job. You know what I'm saying? Well, my point is that asset, I was taking care of it the way that I did, right? And then I get married. Or I had girlfriends. And then I get married.
You had to get rid of the car.
Well, I get rid of the car, but I look back and I go, I took better care of the car than I did of them.
That's a good point. Exactly.
Right?
Why? Like,
And that's,
why. Exactly.
no one explained to me why.
Exactly.
But I was just repeating what I had seen. I remember, my dad had the 48 Plymouth, and he'd be out there washing it, pum, 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 pum. And my mom is making tortillas, making the food, cleaning the kitchen, taking care of the babies, pum, 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 pum. And he's over there just...
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so this podcast is about getting the man to be in that place where he will be the one serving in that way.
In different conversations I've had with you, I really like the word that you use, edifying. We may go into that later into another topics, but I guess it's part of what you want to do. Instead of edifying the car, you want to edify the wife and the family, and what really gives you joy in life.
Well, and then the Lord says to present your wife as radiant
That's right.
to the world. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that. It took me, he had to speak to me directly for me to know, okay, this is what I'm in here. When my wife leaves the house, she should be looking absolutely amazing. And people, when they see her, should say, my gosh, you're so radiant. Brillas.
Exactly. There's an aura too.
Right? And so that is the responsibility of Francisco and Juan, is to get these women out there looking amazing. And so this is what it's about. That's why it's called Men for Women. For women, meaning making them be the amazing assets that they're supposed to be.
And sometimes, on the other hand, women sometimes come into marriage with that mentality that men are not supposed to take care of them, and they just go by what they've seen in the past. And even though they may not, it may be just in the back of their minds or unconsciously, they go into the marriage like that. They should also understand that that is not right.
Well, the role of the man, and this is what the role of the man is, and it's written down. It's a place where you can go find it, and I didn't know it, but the role of the man is to care for the woman, to strengthen the woman, heal the woman, right? I mean, this is the interesting thing is this woman says, hey, I just had a child. I have things happening inside my body
Exactly.
that I can't control, and I fly off the handle. And her husband's right there, and he goes, yeah. Because that body is made differently, right?
Exactly.
It needs healing prior to having a baby, after having a baby, there's healing in that body that has to take place. That's different, and might be healing that has to come from the past. But the third one is to be looked after. Okay, so it's care, strengthen, heal, and look after. That's written down. And this process that we're in is to get men to buy into that and say, okay, I want to do that. I can do that because the blessing is absolutely amazing. The application of it, and we're living it. I mean, I can't be talking about someone I have not lived and I'm not living.
No, exactly. And that's why at the beginning I said throughout your life experience, starting as a husband, as a former teacher, as a former basketball coach, as a current, business owner. These are things that you can not only relate to, but talk about them because you have lived them through your life.
Yeah. And you know how it is, especially in this political season we just lived through. What were they looking for? They were looking for money to speak on their behalf, both politicians who had money and had fame. Right?
Exactly.
That's what they want. Did they call you?
Oh, no. Lots of times.
Because they never called me. Because
no. I mean, they called me on the phone the people who had money and had fame, their voices were on the phone calling you. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they didn't call me to
they didn't call us and put us on the platform and say, hey, come on, this is Francisco Romero from Houston. No. Because we don't have that kind of money and we don't have that kind of fame. Well, this is the thing. And I tell people, I am a wealthy man. Okay? I am wealthier than Elon Musk or Bill Gates. Right? Why? And it's because I have the riches of Christ.
Exactly.
And he calls it the riches, the wealth, okay? Who owns everything. And so that is what I have. And then the fame comes from he knows me.
Exactly.
Right? I don't care if 10,000 people in Houston know me. He knows me. And those are important things to understand because remember we talked about being an asset,
Exactly.
a special asset. That's how he makes me a special asset. And I can talk about things that Bill Gates and Elon Musk and these guys can't because they don't have the wealth I have and they don't have the fame I have.
Exactly. And you go by it and you go through the steps. And like I said, going back to one of my original statements is, at the end of the day, like you said, you want joy and happiness. And what's more important than joy and happiness within the home.
Yeah.
And now the family grows. Wife, you have kids, you have grandkids, and so it just goes on.
Oh, yeah. And that's what you want to do. I mean, I've been to your house. We sat, and I see the people who are there. I mean, who was that gentleman's wife I met? I didn't even know I was talking with her.
Which one?
Is it the singer?
From Fito Olivares.
Fito Olivares, right?
The famous singer.
Yeah. I grew up listening to his music.
And she's there just...
And she's just there eating with us. And then somehow, some way, I go, Francisco didn't tell me who I was sitting with, But she's married to this famous man who a kid in California is listening to his music.
Exactly.
How in the heck? right? And she seemed to be a nice lady. I don't know her, you do, but that's the kind of impact that you can have on people when you are wealthy and you're famous. And I'm sure they blessed a lot of people because I was blessed and I was in California just by the songs he wrote.
Exactly, by the song. And she was there, not, she didn't have a sign saying Vito
No.
Olivares' wife. It
Yeah.
just happened to be another person who was also blessed
Yeah.
because of, her situation in life. And like you said, Vito Olivares has blessed many people with his music.
Right. And so the Lord wants us to bless people with our marriage,
Exactly.
with our children. You know what I'm saying? Because we know that there's a lot of marriages that are so toxic, so dysfunctional, that they produce children who are now costing you and me
Exactly.
money, right?
Money and headaches or, a lot of stuff, yeah.
A lot of stuff. And so, we get these things happening in our society because this relationship is not emphasized enough, and it has to be emphasized through the man. That's why we call it men for women.
No, and actually, I guess from your experiences, once that idea or term or practice gets to somebody, would you just give me an example of someone who told you, wow, I never thought about that, and then their life changed?
Well, it almost happened last night with that woman, but I've seen it with, I can't mention names.
Exactly,
but, yeah.
but you have seen it.
Yeah, no, and I've seen it, and I sit with them. Matter of fact, last night one of those couples was here, and they decided they wanted to give us a card, and they read the card, okay, and they both came from horrible family lives. And so right now he says, we are beginning to live what we desired to live for so many years.
Because they are beginning to understand.
Because they're applying.
Oh, yeah, applying.
They're applying. And then he goes on to say, he says, I remember the day I came to meet you because we were thinking of getting married. And he says, you put me through the ringer. You started asking me questions, because the young lady is like family to us.
Exactly.
And we met when we came here. And so there we are. And he says, you're asking me about my credit. Why were you asking me about my credit? And I said, yeah.
It's part of...
Because they're an older couple. They're getting ready to get married, right? And it's important
Exactly.
that they come in that word you mentioned, to edify each other, as opposed to her marrying a guy who has absolutely no credit, has no job, has no assets to think of. Well, it just so happened that he had a house. She has a house, okay, that they own. And they came in. They're both professionals. And they came into this relationship in a safe and healthy manner so where they could have a good base to start with.
See, that's why I like talking to you, because it's just not rhetoric
No.
that you talk about. It's the real thing.
Yeah.
Things in real life. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, what about your credit? Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are things that are going to affect you one way or another. So that's one of the reasons that, you put true life or real life experiences or issues on the table.
Yeah, yeah. And it's for you and I. We're both learning. I mean, how long have you been married? With Larissa?
20 years.
20 years. So we've been married 40 years. Right?
Oh, wow. Twice as much.
Yeah.
That's as long.
Twice as long. I mean, is there something going into the next 20 years that you can learn from me?
Exactly.
Right? And I should be asking a guy and a man and a woman who've been married for 50 years.
See, I can take care of my assets and edify while doing so.
Right. And I'm serious, man. I had no idea that marriage would be so amazing at this age that I'm living. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And especially since I started as an atheist and I didn't believe anything that he said. And now here I am, having been saved, which is what he uses. He says that. He says, I come to save you from who? From myself. I was destroying myself.
And those are the things, applying it to real life. Yeah, so everybody talks about, yes, when I retire, I want to have this, and that, and get this kind of money. But sometimes we don't talk about at the age of my retirement or after 30, 40 years of marriage, I would like to enjoy it as you are talking about how you enjoy it. So I don't hear that a lot. I do hear a lot about retirement
Yeah.
and having a safety net and so on and so forth. But rarely do I hear, I want to enjoy my marriage as much as I am enjoying it now, while when I get to a certain age.
Yeah, and not only the marriage, but enjoying our children, watching our children be married, and then like the grandchildren. That's icing on the cake. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know?
It is not. Juan, what can we close with in regards to this?
Well, I
issue?
just want to say that there's a video. Okay, the first one is talking about you being an asset,
Uh-huh.
and then the second video, and it'll be down here on the lower third, is talking about how you can become an amazing asset in his hands. Okay, and you can watch that. I'm going to refer you to them. You can watch them. You can learn, and then respond. And if you responded, email me at juan@musicandmessage.org. And so we can communicate about that, because this is the most important decision that you can make in becoming the man for women, okay? Or becoming the man for a woman, right?
Exactly. Well,
For
Juan,
a woman.
thank you very much for this conversation. And we'll have more. But make sure you follow Making Connection with M&M Ministries. And you can find us on YouTube.
On YouTube?
And anywhere else, or just on YouTube as now?
Right now, that's where they are, but we will eventually move them on to TikTok and Instagram and little small portions on Facebook.
Well, again, thank you very much for joining us. On behalf of Juan Alanis, I'm Francisco Romero. And make sure to follow Making Connections with M&M Ministries. And so until next time, thank you, Juan.
Thank you, Francisco.